This is the Owl of Wisdom. Like and subscribe for 10 years of good luck. If you don't, it won't be pretty. What's an oddly specific feeling that you hate? When you wake up from an emotional dream and you still feel like absolute shit because of what happened in the dream, but yet you could never even remotely remember what happened in this dream. When you get an itch on the very bottom of your foot and you are wearing shoes. Walking with groceries in a plastic bag and the it hits your leg and spins, so the bag gets wound up, and as you wait for it to spin in the other direction and unwind itself, it hits your leg again and winds further in the same direction. That feeling when you are walking with your friends and suddenly the sidewalk isn't wide enough and you end up walking behind everyone. Water rolling down my arm after I washed my hands and I'm reaching for a towel. The feeling of having to piss but nothing comes out. When I step on a floor barefoot and my foot is slightly sweaty and picks up every piece of dirt. Feeling tired of chewing. When my post-shower, super dry winter hands touch microfiber. Just kill me. When you're about to fall asleep and your body does that fake fall thing. The instant you realized you forgot something, but it's too late to go back and get it. That feeling you get when you're on your way to do something and someone asks you to do that very thing you were on your way to do makes me not want to do it anymore. That feeling of saliva buildup leading up to vomiting. Trying to get an earring through the back hole of my ear and just digging around in the meaty ear void. Almost sneezing, then not. That weird half sadness, half restlessness I get sometimes randomly at night. When your pencil is too low and the wood scratches up against the paper. Just busted my fingernail half off, so that sorta numb sorta pain feeling when I bump it. When someone fakes an orgasm to convey that someone's cooking is good. That feeling you get when an annoying coworker you don't want to talk to comes up to you and starts talking to you while you are at your desk and you try to give subtle and then not so subtle hints for them to go away and they don't. When your feet are simultaneously cold and sweaty at night. How was this allowed to be a thing? The feeling of when you feel excluded from a certain group of people, whether it be friends, family, or any other social group that you feel you are a part of. It's this sinking, gut-dropping emotion that you don't belong. Deja vu used to be kind of fun when I was a kid, but now it feels different. It used to feel like I've been somewhere before. Now it feels like I've been trapped in a moment for eternity. I feel like I've been caught in a time loop. I don't like that feeling at all. When somebody's messing around with styrofoam and it's making that sound. When you know someone is lying to you. The feeling of having hair on me after a haircut. The weird kind of melancholy that hangs out in the background of my head. Like when you have a program running in the background that seems kinda sus, but you can't task manager it. How you sweat a lot during naps. Or is that just me? I hate the sound of frozen cardboard tearing. Makes me gag and almost throw up. Whenever I get things out the freezer I have to cut open the box with scissors or a knife. If it tears open then it sets me off. Got goosebumps and went all jittery just typing that. Yes, all my family think it's weird. That tingling sensation I get when something touches the area near or on my Adam's apple, even if lightly, and my hands aren't somewhere within the general vicinity of my neck. I can't explain it, it's just super uncomfortable and it makes me want to punch something. When my skin feels itchy, but it's not on the outside, more like it's inside. It rarely happens, but it feels like I have to scratch at my skin to get to it on the inside. That feeling when I want to fart, and I'm a bit more successful than that. Having wet feet and still having to get about your day. That water that hits your butthole directly when the turd plops in. The feeling of the paper sliding across the inside of your flesh during a paper cut. Earbud getting yanked out of my ear after the cord gets caught on a door handle. I don't know why, but sometimes when I see a relationship flourish in a TV show I used to watch, I get this sickening feeling. Don't want to call it jealousy, because I feel it so rarely. Sometimes if I'm gripping a flat object between my thumb and forefinger, and I'm not actually looking at it, I just sort of lose the ability to tell how thick the object is. Happens most frequently if I grab the edge of my computer desk. I know it's only an inch thick, but somehow it simultaneously feels an inch thick and 5 inches and paper thin. I really hate that sensation. That pain in your heart when you feel sadness. Edit. Thanks kind stranger. Restless legs. When someone comes at me with their fingers curled like they are going to tickle me. One of the few things that will make me become physically violent. When you space out and you get a weird feeling once you've snapped back into reality. Jealousy. I didn't want to be with my chick at all after the breakup. I mean, I'm not all innocent or anything, but she hit me and emotionally abused me and shit, nobody did anything about it. If it was the other way around, it'd be in cuffs the first 5 minutes. I saw her with another guy and IDKY, but I felt jealousy. I don't know why I did, but I couldn't get rid of it, and I felt uneasy and stuff. I eventually got over it, but damn did I hate that feeling. I didn't want to be that guy. That feeling on a Sunday night when you realize it's the longest possible time in the week till the next weekend. When you stub your toe and the toenail bends inward and you have to reach down and check if it ripped. I hate feeling like I did something wrong or offended somebody, even though I know that I didn't. It's sort of like the lingering shame when you wake up from a dream where you were a jerk for no reason. I guess that's called anxiety. When I'm in bed with the grey blue striped blanket and my toenails are too long and the scratch against the blanket and pull off strings. You know that moment where you're sitting back in a chair and decide you're going to balance the back legs cause it's fun and cool, and then you lose your balance and start to fall backwards and you feel that brief moment of intense fear. That feeling I hate. I hate it more cause that is exactly what anxiety is like. All the time. Embarrassment. The feeling that I'm losing an argument. Feet falling asleep. A cold, wet dishcloth yug. Licking a wooden popsicle stick. When you are about to slip or fall, but you catch yourself in time, only your body has already braced itself for impact and you're left with all this unused adrenaline. Not RLY that rare, but I feel empty. I felt like at that moment, maybe a day at a time. I don't want to do anything, I don't like anything, nothing feels like anything at all, I don't even want to sleep. Singing happy birthday. The pins and needles feeling you get after a limb has fallen asleep. The feeling of touching styrofoam. I can't stand the texture half the time. And it's even worse when I'm already anxious. I'm really texture sensitive when I'm anxious. Sensory issues and whatnot. Styrofoam is at the top of the list of things I hate. When you stretch and yawn at the same time and you get dizzy and lightheaded. Coming towards a red light and seeing the perpendicular traffic is stopping, so you're about to get a green light. So you try to avoid coming to a full stop and coast, and coast, and coast. Then you realize you're going to cross the line before you get the green light. So you finally stop, and the instant you stop, the light turns green. That feeling you get when you feel like you're going to burp, but then nothing comes out and all that's left is a bitter taste in your mouth. Wet socks. Scratching rough surfaces. Particularly some types of metal and chalkboards. I cannot even go near the stuff. It's such a bad feeling. I hope I'm not the only one, because it's the worst feeling ever. Velvet that is very short. Fingernails scratching across a mattress. When are really upset by something like either angry or crying your eyes out and someone touches you and it angers you. The surge of energy when I hear "rip your eye out" in my head. The second before you sneeze. That weird moment when your face starts to scrunch up, your eyes start to water, and your nose is itchy. It makes me instantly angry every time. That feeling when your shirt is tucked in and you feel the shirt unticking and bunching on the top of your pants. Or that feeling when your underwear ends up higher than your pants. Both drive me crazy in equal measure. Getting interrupted in the middle of a good stretch. When you're sitting on the bus and you realize that you forgot to take your admeds and you have a test today and you know you will not be able to focus, but you can't turn the bus around to go home to get them, so you're just sitting on the bus wishing that you did not procrastinate on your phone that morning and instead remembered to take them. Scraping my fingernails on a hologram or the kind of volume knob with those tiny circular ridges. Wiping your tongue with a bone dry napkin. Throughout college, I always had so much to do that if I chose to do a social activity or was relaxing instead of working and I realized I was procrastinating, I would have this sudden lurching pit of anxiety in my stomach. I guess I conditioned myself to associate relaxing with sudden lurching anxiety, and even though I graduated in August and no longer have that intense homework burden, sometimes if I'm relaxing as I am now allowed to do, I'll get a damn panic attack for no real reason. It's like college-induced PTSD. I personally have migraine, and I have the kind that makes me feel very nauseous besides the other symptoms. You ever waved laminated paper? That's how I feel then. I hate that feeling with a passion. That weird feeling where you're walking past a toddler and are conscious that you could easily punt that for over the nearest building and needing to control your legs succinctly to prevent that from happening. Hope this isn't too gross for anybody, but when you're on your period and you go to the bathroom, how your pad gets kind of cold while you're peeing, and when you put your pants back on it feels cold and wet on your skin. When my stomach starts hurting in the specific sort of way that always ends with an explosive shit within the next half hour. When I bump my arm against my side on accident cause I feel like I have to even it out. So I bump other arm against my side, but I applied too much pressure. So I bump the other side again, but this time I came at the wrong angle. So I bump the other side and end up in an endless loop of trying to even myself out unsuccessfully, and I have to leave it and it drives me nuts. Same thing happens with my fingers and legs. Before an anxiety attack, when I can feel my whole body getting tense. The stop clock illusion. When you look at an analog clock and the secretary arm seems to linger longer than normal. It's because when you move your eyes the brain deletes the blur and replaces it with what you see first thing as your eyes focus, so it tricks the brain to think you have seen it twice as long as else. Kinda freaky? Having to sneeze, feeling it in your nose and throat, eyes watering. Then it disappears. When you try to do a finicky task, like threading a needle, but you can't quite manage to do it, and you fail again and again, and you get this growing tightness in your chest that gets a little more uncomfortable every time you fail, until it drives you absolutely insane. When I don't wear socks my feet feel like paper. I don't know how to describe it. I hate that feeling, so I always wear socks. When you come out of a test and you're talking about the answers with classmates and realize you royally fucked up. That's a real oh shit feeling you had after something really bad has happened and you are in some sort of denial. I experienced this once in high school in my first fender bender as well as at work when something broke. A good example of experiencing this secondhand was when my friend hit a deer the day he got his new car. After all the noise, it was dead silent and just said, "Did that just happen?" Followed by him going berserk because it became more clear. There are certain candies and cookies / biscuits that have a particular texture that irritates my teeth. It's not the taste, and the texture does not bother my mouth or anything. It's my actual teeth. Very difficult to explain. For a better idea, Google old-fashioned peanut candies. Brain zaps. Side effect of Zoloft withdrawal. When you're walking down a dark street at night and suddenly you're aware that a stranger has stepped out of the shadows and is in lockstep directly behind you. Thanks for watching the Chronicles of Reddit. Like and subscribe for a marvelous life of adventure.